You grew up believing in fairy tales. Castles, singing animals, princesses in beautiful dresses, and that one final line, they lived happily ever after. But the truth is, many of Disney's most beloved films are based on stories that were never meant for children. They were filled with violence, death, revenge, and punishments that would make any modern audience shiver. Today, we'll uncover the real origins, the original nightmares that inspired 8 of Disney's most famous classics. This is the horrifying tales that inspired Disney. 1. Sleeping Beauty. Sun, Moon, and Talia. Before there was Aurora, there was Talia. And her story didn't start with a kiss. It started with a curse, a coma, and a crime. In the early 1600s, Italian writer Giambattista Basile wrote a collection of tales called the Pentamerone. Among them was a story called Sun, Moon, and Talia. In it, a king discovers a beautiful young woman sleeping in an abandoned palace. She's been cursed by a splinter of flax in her finger. But instead of trying to save her, he rapes her while she sleeps. Talia becomes pregnant, and months later, while still unconscious, she gives birth to twins named Sun and Moon. One of the babies sucks the splinter from her finger, and only then does she awaken. The king, who already has a wife, secretly returns to see her, until his jealous queen discovers the affair. The queen orders the twins to be cooked and served to the king as revenge. When he finds out, he condemns his wife to death by fire. Disney, of course, erased all of this. The assault became a gentle kiss. The cursed sleep became a spell, and the awakening turned into an act of love. The original story isn't about romance. It's about power, violation, and control. It warns that beauty can be both a blessing and a curse, and that innocence doesn't always protect you. 2. The Little Mermaid. Hans Christian Andersen, 1837. The Little Mermaid, ends with a wedding and a happy song. But Hans Christian Andersen's version ends with heartbreak and death. In the 1837 original, the mermaid dreams of becoming human not just to find love, but to gain a soul, something mermaids are said not to have. She makes a deal with a sea witch, trading her voice for human legs. But the magic has a cost. Every step she takes feels like walking on knives. Despite her suffering, she dances for the prince, who admires her but marries another woman. The witch tells her she can only return to the sea if she kills the prince and lets his blood fall on her feet. She can't do it. Out of love, she throws herself into the ocean and dissolves into sea foam. In her last moments, she becomes a spirit of the air, cursed to wander the earth for 300 years, doing good deeds in hopes of one day earning a soul. Disney turned this into a story about following your heart, finding love, and part of your world. But Andersen's mermaid never got her world. She lost everything: her voice, her love, her home, and even her body. It's a tale about sacrifice, longing, and the pain of transformation. Not a fairy tale, but a tragedy. 3. Cinderella, The Brothers Grimm, 1812. Cinderella is often seen as the ultimate feel-good story. Kindness rewarded, cruelty punished. But in the Brothers Grimm's version, the punishment is much, much darker. When the prince comes searching for the girl who fits the glass slipper, he visits Cinderella's home. Her two stepsisters are desperate to win him. The first cuts off her toes so her foot will fit. The second slices off her heel. Their mother encourages them, whispering, "When you're queen, you won't need to walk." But their deception doesn't last. The prince notices the trail of blood in the shoe, and two white doves call out, "Rook-de-goo, rook-de-goo, there's blood in the shoe." In the end, Cinderella marries the prince, and at the wedding, those same birds fly down and peck out the sisters' eyes. One loses her left eye, the other her right, and later the reverse, leaving both blind. Disney transformed all of that into a story about friendship and hope, with talking mice instead of mutilation and doves. But in the Grimm world, justice was brutal. The moral was simple. Envy and deceit will literally destroy you. 4. The Lion King, inspired by Hamlet, William Shakespeare, 1600. At first glance, The Lion King is an original Disney story, but the blueprint is pure Shakespeare. In Hamlet, a Danish prince's father is murdered by his uncle, who takes the throne and marries his mother. The prince is haunted by his father's ghost, torn between vengeance and morality, and his quest for justice leads to his own destruction. The parallels are clear. Mufasa as the ghostly father, Scar as the usurping uncle, and Simba as the grieving son torn between fear and duty. Even the moment when Mufasa appears in the clouds echoes Hamlet's spectral visitation. But where Shakespeare's tragedy ends with nearly everyone dead, Disney offers redemption. Simba reclaims his kingdom, the circle of life is restored, and the message becomes one of growth and renewal. Hamlet is about the price of revenge. The Lion King is about overcoming guilt. Same skeleton, different soul. 5. Frozen, The Snow Queen, Hans Christian Andersen, 1844. If you think Frozen was based on a story of sisterhood, you're half right. The inspiration, The Snow Queen, is one of Andersen's most complex and surreal tales. It begins with a magical mirror created by a demon that distorts everything good and beautiful into ugliness. When the mirror shatters, its shards scatter across the world. One fragment lodges in a boy named Kay's eye, and another in his heart, turning him cold and cruel. He's later taken by the Snow Queen, a powerful, emotionless figure who rules over a frozen palace. She kisses him on the forehead, and each kiss makes him forget more of his life, his home, his grandmother, and his best friend, Gerda. Gerda refuses to give up. She travels across forests, rivers, and snow to find him. Her tears finally melt the ice in Kay's heart, freeing him from the curse. Unlike Disney's Frozen, there's no Elsa, no Anna, no songs about letting it go. The original story isn't about fear or magic. It's about innocence, persistence, and the power of unconditional love. The Snow Queen isn't evil. She's indifferent, cold, logical, and distant, like death itself. Andersen's story is a meditation on faith and the soul, not a fairy tale duet. 6. Snow White, The Brothers Grimm, 1812. We all know the story. The jealous queen, the magic mirror, the poisoned apple. But the original Grimm version is far more gruesome. In early editions, the queen tries to kill Snow White multiple times. First with a tight corset that nearly suffocates her, then with a poisoned comb, and finally with the apple. Snow White's apparent death lasts long enough for her to be kept in a glass coffin by the dwarfs, until a prince arrives. But in the first Grimm version, he doesn't kiss her. His servants accidentally jostle the coffin, dislodging the apple from her throat. When the queen arrives at the wedding, her punishment is savage. She's forced to wear red-hot iron shoes and dance until she dies. Disney sanitized all of that, turning torture into a fall from a cliff, and death into true love's kiss. But the original story isn't just about jealousy. It's about vanity, aging, and the cruel obsession with beauty. In the Grimm world, women who chase youth are monsters. Those who endure suffering become saints. 7. Beauty and the Beast, Gabrielle Suzanne de Villeneuve. Before it was a musical, Beauty and the Beast was a cautionary tale. In Villeneuve's 1740 version, Beauty's father, a ruined merchant, plucks a rose from a beast's garden. The beast threatens to kill him unless he sends one of his daughters to live in the castle. Beauty volunteers, sacrificing herself for her father's life. In the beast's castle, she's treated well, but kept captive. Every night, he asks her to marry him. Every night, she refuses. Eventually, she dreams that her father is dying. When she leaves to visit him, she stays too long and returns to find the beast near death from heartbreak. She confesses her love, and the spell is broken. Unlike Disney's story, there are no talking candlesticks or singing teapots, only a lonely girl and a cursed creature. The original story isn't about romance. It's about duty, sacrifice, and submission. In the 18th century, the tale was meant to teach young women obedience, to accept arranged marriages, and see past a husband's beastly nature. Disney changed that completely, turning it into a modern story about compassion, empathy, and choice. The lesson evolved from obey to understand. 8. Rapunzel, The Brothers Grimm, 1812. The Grimm version of Rapunzel is both tragic and raw. A pregnant woman craves a plant called rampion, or Rapunzel, growing in a witch's garden. Her husband steals it, is caught, and the witch demands their unborn child as payment. The witch raises the girl in a tower, isolated from the world. When Rapunzel turns 12, a prince discovers her and visits her secretly by climbing her hair. In time, Rapunzel becomes pregnant, though the Grimms phrase it delicately, saying, "Her clothes grew tight." When the witch finds out, she cuts off Rapunzel's hair, blinds the prince by pushing him from the tower, and banishes the girl to the wilderness. There she gives birth to twins. Years later, the blind prince hears her singing, and her tears heal his sight. Disney's Tangled kept the magic, but lost the pain. In the original, it's a story about control, purity, and punishment, a tale that condemns desire and rebellion. Every strand of Rapunzel's hair is a symbol of captivity, not freedom. Fairy tales were never bedtime stories. They were warnings, moral lessons told through fear, pain, and blood. Disney took those grim origins and gave them light, love, and hope. He turned horror into happiness. But the shadows remain. Behind every castle, every kiss, and every song lies the echo of something ancient, cruel, and human. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark side of Disney, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me which story shocked you the most. There are hundreds more tales, and the next one might change the way you see your childhood forever.